today? We're jumping into Casey Anthony's Where the Truth Lies. Now, I have to say something. Woo! I giggled, gaggled, and died, but came back to life because this rating, I love ratings. I love to see what people think about the shows. I think she's just hated. This lady is hated, honey. These people who watch this show, they said, we are not trying to give her air, life. We are not trying to give her no damn money, honey. We want her documentary to be buried with her. These people rated this documentary a 3.80. Now, when I gagged for the rest of my life, honey, now let me tell you guys something. The first episode was one of the most fascinating episodes that I've ever watched. Yes, actually, I'm going to tell you the truth. I enjoyed the first episode of this show. Not enjoyed it, but found it intriguing. More than actually the John Wayne Gacy Peacock version thus far of everything that I watched. It's very interesting and to learn about the lies of what happened with John Wayne Gacy. But overall, just, I don't know why I was so into listening to this. Maybe because I'm trying to figure out this lady, why the hell she decided to do this. Because if you got away with murder, allegedly, the first episode, honey, you made yourself look horrible. Nothing that you said made any sense, and now she's just pushing it onto her parents. It seems like it's everybody else's fault but hers, and it's like, I just don't know. It leaves me wondering, I guess with John Wayne Gacy, and now I'm into Ted Bundy, maybe because obviously I know they kill people. But with this lady, some people are saying she didn't. Some people are saying she did. The vast majority of people are saying she did. And because I didn't know about this when it happened, at the moment, I don't have the reaction, or maybe that I don't have the reaction. I don't have the reaction yet of what other people already have made up their minds and said, she's done it, she's not done it. I'm trying to keep a clear conscience, or a clear mind, I should say, not clear conscience. A clear conscience means I did something wrong. My butt has just been over here minding my gay, lovely life, doing this for all my reactions and annoying people. But this lady, I'm just keeping a clear mind. So I'm trying to go in here saying, oh, your mother, you wouldn't kill your kid, and what was the reason for you killing your kid? But everything is just stacking up against you. And then I'm very curious to understand why she was found not guilty. What evidence did they show that this lady did not do anything? So I'm ready to jump into this, guys. As always, this is going to be a full reaction from my second and third tier here on the YouTube platform, as well as my other platform, Patreon. So guys, please sign up to one of those platforms and help support the channel today. With that being said, let's jump into Casey Anthony, Where the Truth Lies, and find out exactly what Casey Anthony has to lie about. Ooh, I like that. Orlando, Florida. Would be Florida.
There's been no sign of Caylee since June. Officials have said they believe the girl is dead.
Casey Anthony's attorney says the mother believes Caylee is still alive.
Are we going to be able to find her, do you think? I hope we can, Mom.
I know you want to ask me about the last day she was here, the last day that I saw her, the day she disappeared. I know that's what it's all leading up to. I can tell you about what I remember from that morning. It's not much. Got Caylee to bed, woke up the next morning, got her breakfast, put on the TV, the door was closed, I had her lay in bed with me. I've been a light sleeper my entire life. I'm used to being on alert, especially with my child next to me.
Were the doors unlocked to your bedroom?
I thought that I had locked it, but maybe no. I was awoken by him shaking me and asking me where Caylee was. She would never even leave my room without telling me, even if she had to go to the bathroom. And I immediately start looking around the house. I go outside and I'm looking to see where she could be.
Did you look inside the pool?
Didn't have to. I came back around towards the front porch. He's standing there with her. She's soaking wet. I can see him standing there with her in his arms and telling me that it's my fault, that I did that. And I just collapsed with her in my arms. As I'm sitting there with her on my lap, just hysterical. He takes her from me and he immediately softens his tone and tells me it's gonna be okay, that she was going to be okay. I wanted to believe him, because I wanted her to be okay. I know he went back in through the screen doors and he went back into the house. I don't know where she went, and I don't know what he did.
So your daughter drowned? And your father took her?
Call 911. Why did I even wait to tell my mom anything? But I didn't tell her anything, to live with that. Knowing that I failed to protect my child. I failed her again and again and again. I still protected the person who hurt me.
How long were you in the Orange County Jail?
3 years.
What did you hear in the cell?
Screaming, yelling. It's never quiet. Other people's body odor because it's a recycled air system. I was waiting in jail, being accused of a crime that I didn't commit, and helpless, and having literally no one in my corner. During that period of time, I needed someone to talk to. I've never gone through them.
My name is Robin McDonnell. I was indicted under the name Robin Adam. Came to meet Casey Anthony in the Orange County Jail. Box, it's a shoebox, it's a Tupperware. The lid only comes off when they take it off. Casey was put into solitary confinement as well. One time I just waved to her. These, it looks like these are pictures, wow. Casey used sign language to tell me that she wrote to me, started to get to know each other through letters. She called me Cookie. Know how it feels to be physically, emotionally, and mentally abused.
I think that I wrote to Robin Adams and told her what had happened to me.
My own brother walking into my room at night and feeling my breast while I slept.
I don't really remember Robin's response to anything. Felt like there was actually someone who understood.
I think my dad used to do the same thing to me, but when I was much younger. But I wake up feeling both sore and sick to my stomach, the way I used to feel growing up.
I was isolated from my family in jail, that I started to remember more of the details. Nightmares and seizures, all because of things that I was reliving from what happened with my father. Even with trying to suppress those feelings and those memories. And I could smell my father's cologne before I even opened my eyes. And I could feel him as he kind of slid me over in my daybed. I'm still laying there acting like I'm asleep. Slowly move my hair off of my neck, run his hands down my back, underneath my shirt. I remember the first time he put his hands down my pants. It's hard when you're being told, you know, this is that special time, your daddy's special little girl. And starting off being so kind and so nice, God forbid I fought back.
What do you mean by pillow goes over my face?
He smothered me several times. Not tonight, please, not tonight. I just want to go to sleep. Wake up the next morning or even hours later, knowing that it had happened again. Tonight I had to be daddy's special little girl.
You told your defense team about the abuse?
No. There was so much anger and grief and sadness and shame. I hadn't talked to my team about it yet. I hadn't said anything to them.
Young mother who's out partying for 30 days while her daughter was missing.
She showed any remorse for her child.
To go to the nightclubs and dirty dance.
Logical, reasonable explanation, for her bizarre behavior.
Part of my role was putting together the puzzle to bring understanding to Casey's life. I started working with Casey in July of 2009, and we were unpacking a lot.
It was a very slow process because my guard had been up, but Janine was so disarming. We start to open up a little bit more and let my guard down a little bit.
In one of the interviews, Casey shared with me that her dad had abused her. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse as well. So in that moment, I understood her. When you've been a victim of sexual abuse, you pretend. That's how Casey can show up as if she had no troubles in the world. Evidence of abuse is very difficult, especially with the passing of time. Jesse was her fiance. She did disclose to him about being abused by her brother.
Lee standing over her in bed, staring at her sleep, was groping her.
For whatever reason, a little bit easier to say, oh, my brother. I think the abuse by her father was a much bigger deal.
It was always easier to talk about the abuse with my brother because I had already forgiven him and moved past so much of it. Years later, I had told my mom.
About your brother? What did she say?
She called me a whore. How was I going to tell her about the things that were 1,000 times worse than my father. I didn't want anyone to know that I had been abused. But I had no choice.
Bit of evidence that had been collected in the case was released to the public.
Says her brother Lee began sexually abusing her. She thinks her dad also used to do the same thing.
We didn't look at trauma the way we do now, so it felt like it was a lie.
Everything was against her. The world was against her. She had not told Jose. So I said to Casey, be open and transparent.
Of all the doctors, Harry was the easiest to talk to, Dr. Krupp.
I saw Casey 4 times at the request of the attorneys on the case because of her pattern of deception. Ask myself in this case whether she was telling me the truth.
My experience into her mind, and I found her to be very narcissistic and a sociopath.
Absolutely. A diagnosable psychiatric disorder or any diagnosable personality disorder. Psychologists and mental health professionals who evaluated her certainly also discovered.
We could go down the list. There just wasn't any sign of anything.
Not a sociopath.
Not.
Created a vortex. She's a chronic liar. She's engaging in criminal behavior. How is that possible?
Bottom line, she didn't have those type of disorders. And I did believe that Casey was sexually abused.
And what about this allegation that George molested Casey? What did you think of that?
I don't think that's true. Would you believe her? I mean, given the story that she's told.
No report to law enforcement that my daughter's missing. Like, what the hell?
What are you looking at there?
I guess to some this would be a photograph of a grieving mother.
Building where Tony Lazaro, Clint House, and his other roommates used to live. The day my father took Caylee away, this is where I came after I left my house.
Why didn't she call the cops?
I just tried to be as normal as I could around him and even around his roommates.
Nothing was out of the ordinary. During the 31 days, she just seemed like her totally normal self.
All of the photos that people see of me out during those 31 days, I wasn't out partying. You don't see drinks in my hand. I was there actually working. I was there helping Tony promote. In the 31 days, I genuinely believe that Caylee was still alive.
So you kidnapped your baby after she was
There
found in
were
the
threats.
pool.
I just knew that I had to do what he wanted me to do, and the same reason that I knew that since the time I was 8 years old. People also don't know when you're crying in a bathroom alone, trying to pull yourself together. You can never see behind closed doors unless someone chooses to let you in. Phone records, my phone pings had me calling Hope Spring Drive again and again and again. I just wanted answers. When am I going to see her? How much longer are we going to keep doing this? Is she okay?
And what would he say?
He would tell me she was fine. Just keep doing what I'm telling you to do.
Did he describe where Caylee was or what she was doing?
No. I would ask if he knew where she was, and he would just tell me she was safe. When you're physically afraid of another human being to say and do what they wanted you to say and do, even as an adult, you're still going to revert right back to it.
31 days, you're still in that space of...
I was still in that space even a couple weeks later when I was in jail.
What's your gut telling you right now? You have telling me that she's okay. I know in my heart she's not far. I can feel it. Okay.
My mom is asking me if I think Caylee's okay, and I tell her yes, but I'm looking at my father. I really wanted to believe him. And maybe that's the disassociation. Maybe that's the trying to protect myself from the pain of having known. I regret every day that I didn't come forward about what he did to me.
Nothing about trauma or abuse is ever simple because you're just trying to survive. I was convinced that she was okay. Until December of 2008.
They found her?
Recovered this human skull. Appears to be that of a small child. Now the investigation continues.
Sent a couple officers to come into the room that I was staying in. Had me handcuffed and set me down in the waiting area. The live footage. And all you see across the bottom is body fat.
Bag full of little bones may just be the remains of 3-year-old Caylee Anthony.
Because that was the confirmation that she wasn't coming home.
It was the first time we held hands. Her eyes were just bloodshot. Her face was red. At that point, all hope was gone.
Skeletal remains found on December 11th are those of the missing toddler, Caylee Anthony.
Told that a jail chaplain informed Casey Anthony that her daughter's remains have been identified.
Yes, I was naive. Yes, I was dumb. Clearly, no matter how smart I was dumb. I thought there was still a chance. instinct you're supposed to have as a parent to know something is wrong with your child. I should have known.
They know where the child was, how she was disposed of. Hopefully there is a lot of forensic evidence they can use here.
So down here on Suburban Drive is where the recovery was made, around the corner from the Anthony home.
Oh, they still got stuff up for Caylee.
When we came out, you know, we made our first entry to go down there.
When Caylee's body was found, there was duct tape wrapped around her head.
I rolled around and made almost like she was resting in a bird's nest of hair. And there was a Winnie the Pooh blanket with the remains.
Right. Bag that she was in, the laundry bag, was part of a set. And we found the other part of the set at the house.
Winnie the Pooh blanket matched the bed sheet from the child's bedroom.
Stuffed her in a trash bag, dumped her in the woods down the street from the house.
There was, in fact, some tape on the mouth of Caylee Anthony.
Go after her for the death penalty now, mother or no mother.
There was no question in their minds about whether or not I did anything.
Prosecutors announced they will, yes, they will seek the death penalty.
Even though our clients might be innocent, there's a very high likelihood that there could be a guilty verdict.
Can you talk to me about the process of deciding to tell your defense team about what happened with Caylee?
Never again open those boxes. To never have to relive those things that happened.
I got involved in the Casey Anthony case on the day Caylee's remains were found. I was brought over to Hope Spring to meet the family. Geralda's on the phone, wants us at 9 o'clock, but we're already booked for the Today Show. That's not how I would be acting. Caylee's gone. I'd have been a mess. It just was kind of crazy to me. Pictures all over the wall told me a story of a very loving mother. Casey took 20 a day. Showed up late Sunday night with George. They were towing a bass boat that was totally tricked out. They get out, Cindy's sunburned. They've been out on this boat all day long. It was my daughter, my granddaughter. I doubt if I'd be go get in a boat to go look for other missing children on a frickin' lake. Have enough information, because I can't connect that girl killing that baby. There's something really fucked up about this family.
After everything was done with my case, after the trial, defense team, they truly became my family. As not just colleagues and war buddies, but as family and friends. So we are on our way now to Liz's house.
Hi, honey. How are you? When I first met Casey Anthony, I was struck by how small she is. As she's sitting there and you realize she's in a cage alone all day in solitary confinement at the Orange County Jail. She's got a sense of strength. There's just such a survivor in her. She's really behind the scenes reviewing evidence and doing motion work for Cheney Mason. He was required to get a death qualified attorney on that, and that's where Cheney came in.
And I went to meet Casey. And after I met her in the jail, I decided that I would step in and help her. Casey, her phone number is on my phone, and she can call me anytime she wants to. Convicted of serious crimes. I can't think of any other that I've invited into my home.
Where's this guy?
We really didn't know what we were stepping into.
No question, Casey killed her 3-year-old daughter, Caylee.
In favor of eye for eye, because there's a greatly intensified seriousness about a case.
I think you at least have to have a conversation about offers. Deal on the table was 20 years. Accept guilt and responsibility for her daughter's death.
So Jose Baez out of the room that we were meeting in, telling him there was no fucking way.
The last thing that she would even entertain, hurting the only one pure true thing she ever had.
Casey would have nothing to do with it.
I would rather have been found guilty for my life and my innocence than to have ever pled to something I didn't do.
Happening, the most closely watched case maybe ever, or certainly since O.J. Simpson.
Anxiety and the dread going to walk through those doors.
It has taken almost 3 years to get to today. We are now just minutes away.
Linda Drain Burdick is a very skilled prosecutor.
A mother would intentionally kill her own child. The evidence that you will hear in this case, there is no other conclusion. Duct tape covered the nose and mouth area of that tiny human skull.
Was used to pad over the lack of actual facts in the case.
A lot of work with motions to exclude unreliable science. They took the position that Caylee somehow was going to try to make chloroform and murder her child with chloroform.
Instrumental analysis found the highest concentration of chloroform.
But when they did some testing on the remains, no chloroform was found. What everybody saw on the news was, oh, the child's remains were found with duct tape over the mouth.
There was no evidence that that's the way that Caylee died.
There was no DNA at all on the duct tape. How did it end up that way? There were witnesses that talked about how it could have slid down from the bag. Duct tape was not ever around her face when she was still alive.
When I examined that trunk, I found 15 hairs. Found the dark band near to the root area of the hair. This hair is identified with the DNA from the mother's side of Caylee, both alive. The only person that is missing is Caylee.
You can have hair banding even on people who are alive. Things like moisture and dirt, etc. Cadaver dogs came back and didn't alert a second time. That is a symptom of the whole problem with the case. It can cause a cadaver dog to alert. And if you can rely on a cadaver dog, which are you going to rely on? The state said that their experts could quantify the molecules that were in the air. Not aware of any trial that this methodology had ever been accepted in.
There wasn't any evidence that Caylee ever hurt her child, let alone that she was responsible for her death. It appeared to be that she was behaving incorrectly. It was more about painting her as a young, scandalous woman without a care in the world. Really realized the gravity of the situation we were in. Caylee was in for the fight of her life because the stakes are so incredibly high.
To make of the 25-year-old accused of killing her daughter.
News station had a Twitter account created for this case. Caylee was already guilty.
Caylee's death allowed Caylee Anthony to live the good life.
There's nothing wrong with young people being young people. There's nothing with young people drinking and dancing and having fun. But that's not the life that Caylee had.
The best way to explain Caylee's behavior is through the words of Dr. Sally Carriot.
They are reluctant grievers. Young adults are reluctant grievers, will demonstrate risky behavior.
The behavior that Caylee engaged in was absolutely consistent with grief.
Pathological lying is not a diagnosis, it's a pattern of behavior.
Caylee's behavior was a behavior of someone that is not inconsistent with abuse.
After the sexual abuse stops, feeling like the father, the perpetrator, has control.
So important for our understanding. I mean, not just the defense teams, but the jury as well.
Come with me to 4937 Hope Spring Drive. It looks like the all-American home. This family must keep its secrets quiet. Caylee was 8 years old, and her father came into her room and began to touch her inappropriately.
Did you know what he was going to say?
No.
Did you know he was going to bring up the abuse?
No. He wanted to make sure my reaction and my response was as real and raw as possible. What I'm feeling in that moment, listening to Jose Baez tell the world, was absolute shame. Going to feel like I'm not enough because of what happened. I'm not good enough because of all of the things that have happened to me. That's a really, really, really hard moment.
Whatever defense mechanisms she had built over the years were not going to be working for her anymore.
Young people who are not trained on how to deal with trauma simply shut down and pretend it didn't occur. If someone can't deal...
I just want to see the facts, the evidence, talk to witnesses, and I want to find out more.
He located Crystal Holloway.
What do we know about this woman? Told that he visited her many times at her gated community.
I learned from Crystal what really happened to Caylee.
Really clear that she was doing her level best to tell her truth. Caylee has never told me what happened with Caylee, and the science support that it was most likely an accidental drowning. No one acted like you're supposed to act when an accident happens.
She could clearly open the door to get out to the pool, We have the photograph. She can open the door to go outside.
It went with even, what if she accidentally drowned where Caylee, she forgot to take the ladder off the pool.
Caylee Anthony died on June 16, 2008, when she drowned in her family's swimming pool. See a little blurb on the newspaper about some poor child who accidentally drowned in the family swimming pool.
2-year-old Caylee Anthony drowned in her family's swimming pool in June of 2008.
I've had to sit down with mothers whose kids have drowned in swimming pools.
And she was adamant that that didn't occur. After my child drowned in the pool, I stuck her in a laundry bag and dumped her in the woods.
Too many scenarios of what could have happened. But her drowning in the pool is not one.
Why let Jose Baez and your defense team make that argument again?
Mom was the first one that floated the theory that she could have drowned in the pool, and he went with what my mom said. The only one home. I'm not outright accusing him of murder, but it wasn't an accident.
Well, I think that I'm super confused. I don't know what to believe. I would love to hear what you guys say. Once again, comment down below what you guys think about this case. Overall, parts of me is like, she did it. The other parts of me is like, I don't know if she did it. Like, did her father do it? What's up with her being in the pool? And if she did drown in the pool or something of that nature, instead of giving... Casey has said that she gave, that the father took the child. Normal circumstance, she would just call the cops and like bring it to, have the child go to the hospital. I just don't understand how the child was in the house or disappeared when she fell asleep and then woke up, the child's wet, and then the next thing you know that the child's in the woods with laundry baskets in her window. Child, nothing makes sense. It's just very, very confusing. This is one of the most confusing things, but very intriguing to try to figure it out and put the pieces together. I'm very curious to see what you guys say about this. Definitely comment down below. This lady is very, very disliked. Very, very disliked, and they're obviously still dislike her. It's one of those cases, and I'm very curious to see what the mother and the father say. Are they around still? Are they part of this documentary? I highly doubt it. But I'm very curious to see what they say this whole time. Their parents. It does what one of the lawyers says is a very fucked up family, and I completely agree. You can see that they're all twisted. They're very, very confusing. I think Casey has issues, the father has issues, the mother has issues, and we don't know much about the brother, but if he was doing what Casey said he was doing, then he's crazy as well. Everybody just seems to have problems, and I don't understand what the child had to do with this whole thing. Why would Casey kill her child that clearly she loved? She clearly loved her child. Why would she kill the child? Why would she party for 31 days? Why wouldn't she call the cops? Why would the father kill the child? What does the father have to gain from the child missing and everything that he did? I just don't understand. I don't understand. I do not understand. But as I said, I'll be waiting for your comments down below. With that being said, if you've seen this reaction, realize you are not subscribed. Hit the subscribe button, so please like and share this content because it is what it is for this channel. And I'll see you all next time on Andres El Rey.